Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Power Apps Learning Day 14. In today's class, we will learn about how to perform CRUD operations with Dataverse and also what are components. We will learn intricately. Before we go any further, what is CRUD operations? CRUD. C for create, R for read, U for update, D for delete. I repeat, create, read, update and delete. CRUD operations, basic data operations on the database. Before any further delay, let's jump onto this. For that, I'm taking a very basic and blank template. Um, as we know, when we are creating a solution, when we are creating a app with Dataverse as a backend, first primary requirement is Dataverse. Sorry, primary requirement is solution. We must have a solution. We cannot create an app with Dataverse as a backend outside a solution. The reason behind that is when we are creating Dataverse as the backend, we will create multiple tables in the for the app. So when we create multiple tables, it may not be only app. It may be extended to a flow adding to that or multiple flows adding to that, and also we may add additional artifacts like Power BI reports and other aspects. Okay, so having said that, when we are creating or encapsulating more than one artifact as part of our solution, if we as part of our app creation, if we create these artifacts outside a solution, we cannot migrate the solution, migrate this app individually outside this environment when we move the app from one environment to another environment. What are these environments? The environments are development, prod, UIT, right? So we are learning even beyond our academic. For our academic, we do not require to push to various layers of the development cycle, but we are learning because that is one of the key we should know before we implement the app. Any question? So as I said, first I will be creating a solution. Solution name is device management, and I'm creating a new publisher, uh, device management. Always create a relevant publisher. Do not go with the standard publisher, which we know very well, isn't it? Do we know or not? Okay, so the device management is created. Now I do not want to touch any other aspects. So create. My solution is ready. As a matter of interest in time, I'm not creating a table. I'm going to teach you one more new thing, that if I'm having the table already in place and want to associate the table to my solution. How could I do that? In my case, my table is very much ready. See this, my table device details is ready. So I want to leverage the same table as part of my solution. So how could I do that is, rather than going on to new, I'm going to add existing. What I'm going to add? Table. Click on that table, and which will show you all the tables available at the environment level. Remember, Dataverse is at environment, which we already discussed. I repeat, Dataverse is at environment level. When you create one table with table 1 as the name, that will sit at the environment level. When it is available at environment level, I can use that table in one solution or in many solutions. I cannot create this table 1 multiple times at the environment level, considering that I want to use, I am creating table 1 for solution 1. I'm creating table 1 for solution 2. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. A table is at environment level. However, it looks for internal name or logical name to give you a error message stating that the table is already existed. Any question on that? So having said that, once my table is available, I can add it to any solution. So now let's go and see the device details. See that? Device details and device information. Both are available for me to add it into this solution. Say next. And it also asks you, what do you want to include? Do you want to include all the objects related to that device and related to those tables you have selected? What are those objects related to a table? A table will have columns, views, and forms, isn't it? When you create a table, what are all the elements we will get? Objects we will get to, with the table. One is fields or columns or views, and then followed by forms. Yes or no? So now I want all the objects related to those two tables. So I have selected include all objects. If you are not interested to include all the objects, you can always select objects for that particular table. See this? It shows that columns, relationship, business rules, views, forms, dashboards, blah 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 blah. If I want to select only some of the columns, if I want to select only a specific relation, okay, but in my case I want to include everything. Say add. Now the time I say add, those two tables will fall into my solution. Here it is. Now I have what my solution got two tables ready. Now what's my next step is to start creating the app to perform CRUD operations, right? So we have performed the CRUD operations with the SharePoint as a backend, with form being my element to submit the data. But today we will learn without the form. And today we will learn how to submit the data without the form. And also we will learn how to fetch the data without form. Now creating new app, Canvas app. So I want to create it as a table CRUD with data was device inventory manage. So device management. So once I create the app and just say save, it automatically come and show up here. So once the app is saved, it will show up here automatically. See that there are three entries, two tables and one app. Clear? Any questions so far? Whatever we did so far is very well known to all of us, right? Now go back to the app. First thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a heading for my app. So I have added all the basic controls like heading and three buttons to start performing my CRUD operations on the device inventory. And now I wanted to navigate the user from home screen to add new device details by saying like navigate SCR add new device, which is a newly created screen. Here, if I want to give a transition of the screen, I can provide the transition of the screen, or I can leave it as it is, right? Also, if I want to pass any parameters, I can pass the parameters as a contextual variables stating that none and comma contextual variables. How I could do L where um, logged in logged user here as user dot full name. So what happens? The user logged in, whoever is the logged in user, that user details will come, or that user details, that user full name will come, and that name will be carry forwarded to my next screen, which is SCR add new device, right? This is already we discussed when we are learning about how to navigate to the next screen, right? Now let's click on that. So this is my new screen to add the new device details. Now let me add the heading to say that it is to add a new device LBL, add device heading, add new device. Semi-bold center, and probably I will give some background color and change the front. So this is to add a new device. I repeat, in this class or in this today's class, we are not going to use the forms to submit the data. Then how am I going to submit my data? We are going to add control controls individually. Now we will be adding n number of controls or all the required controls, say like device name followed by LBL device name. So this is device name and enable Chesalimma. I just enabled that also. No rush. Text input. I'm saying like text input. Remove that and say this is txt device dvc name device name, and I'm just checking what are the other columns I need to create to get at least the required columns. Okay, CRO 018. Okay, so the primary column for me is name, device code, device type, device title, all this. Okay, let's create one by one as part of my form. Okay, my screen, my bad. Now once I create, my approach always is I do not want my controls to be scattered across the screen. Rather, I always love to adjust as it needed. Okay, now I'm just ensuring I'm just creating. I always create my screen with one control properly, and then I'll ensure that all the other controls are following the same standards. So now I am okay with this font and this font weight. Now I want to change the text box behavior. As I always say, first I'm changing the border, and focused border thickness is also 2. That way I will not get a different focusing behavior. Now I'm just selecting that, and on mouse over it is going to show the light blue color, which I don't want. Now if I go here, it is decent. Now my label and the text box is ready to go further. Now copy and just say Control C, Control V. Now my next control is very much ready. Now again Control. See how quickly I am adding my controls on the screen. Rather than spending hours together, I am quickly just copying the same control and just pasting there, so that I'm getting all my controls evenly. Isn't it? And once I add it onto the screen, I can come back to that control and I can change whatever the way I want. Right or not? Now device name is ready, and device code is also a single line of text. Now I can see here what is the type of the device, right? So the device name is again, device code is also again single line of text. So now I'll say DVC code. Remember, I am not leaving my control with the standard name what I got when I do the copy paste. I am replacing the naming of my control as and when I decide this control I'm going to change for my next field. Device code and LBL, so TXT device code, that is also ready. The next control is for the single line, with the single line of text, device title. So technically this should be here, device title, and this is what, device title and txt device title. Right now my next control is device count. How many devices we want to do, we want to how many devices we wanted to add as part of my inventory. Device count, device count txt device count. Last control I'm going to change on this is manufacturer's name. The reason why I wanted to say manufacturer's name is, if you see, the manufacturer name is what, a lookup column, right? It is not a single line of text, a lookup column. Manufacturer's name, is that right spelling? Rather I'll copy from here. Okay, manufacturer's name, LBL is done, and this is also done. Now this is not a free text. What is this? A lookup. Lookup means a drop down, right? Now I'm removing this and adding a drop down. we will learn how to associate this drop down for that lookup and where that lookup come from. When I go here, the manufacturer's lookup is coming from the manufacturer details. There is another table called manufacturer details, but in our solution it is not there, so we will add that table also. Okay, so that we will get that as well. Now come here, manufacturer details, I'm going to add it here. Again, the same behavior, border focus border. I do not want anybody to miss this because it looks super ugly. And also hover, I leave it as it is, and then followed by device cost, DRP, manufacturer's name, and this is device cost, txt cost. Matter of time, I am not adding too many columns. We know the rest of things how we could do, right? So text box and the drop down is as a lookup. Now first thing first, I need to add the manufacturer details as part of my solution. Again, add existing tables, and I'll say manufacturers, manufacturer details. I'm just adding that, and again all, include all objects. Boom, that table will also get add to my solution. Now we have added all the required tables at the solution level, right? Now what I need to do, I need to associate that data tables to my app. Got it? Now go to app. Under app there is an option to add the data, which is data, and then say add data. The time you say add data, it will automatically show you all the tables which you could associate to this app. Right? Now I'll say device details, device information. Both the tables have shown up. Now I'll select one by one, say device information and manufacturer details. Now all my three tables are associated which I want to perform my operations, right? So now first thing is first. What is the first step? I want to show all the manufacturer details as part of this drop down. So how they should come up is when I come back to here and go to device details and just add into a new tab, and the time I say new row or in the same row, hide this column. I don't need it. Say like manufacturer name. So if I come here and just select that, see that like the way how it is coming, it is showing all the manufacturer names, right? If I select one, it automatically just updates that. So similarly, like the way how I see it as a drop down, similarly I want to see here. Correct? That one will come as manufacturer's details dot what title of the manufacturer, what column of the manufacturer we want to show here. Now if you come back here and see manufacturer details, under manufacturer details, what column is carrying that information? What is the column carrying? Manufacturer is the column. Got it? The time I say manufacturer detail dot manufacturer, automatically all the manufacturer details have popped up here. Right or not? See this. Very important, because when you are creating your app, it is not possible to create every screen of your app as a farm orientation. You will have to know how you could get the details of your lookup column into a drop down. Any question on this? Very simple. Whatever the table name followed by the column you wanted to show here. Okay. Now my details are ready. What I have to do now? I have to post the data back to my database, data table. So for that, we need two buttons. One is to submit and one is to reset my controls on the screen. Submit, again btn submit. Notice every control I am renaming appropriately. Not even one control I left behind. Right or not? And it is not taking long time for me. And this one is to cancel. Btn cancel, and then text on the label button is cancel. It's my personal choice. I don't like borders to the button, so I'm just removing it. If you remove or don't remove, I don't mind. Border border thickness is 0. Similarly here, I'll come back and here. Again, the button border I don't like personally, so I pulled off. Now what I need to do, one is to submit and other one is to catch. Since we do not have form on the screen, we cannot use submit form. Then how could we do that is, there is another function called patch. What patch does is, patch is to add new controls or new values to the table, also update the existing table, existing row details. Again, patch is to add a new row to the table, also to update a row in the table. Okay. Now what is the syntax for that is, first one patch followed by what table I wanted to update. Device details is one. Next one is it a new record or a existing record? If it is an existing record, I'll have to provide the existing record ID. If not, I'll have to provide the behavior. If it is a new record, defaults of device details, which means I am adding a brand new record. When I say defaults of the table name, it consider that user want to add a new record. If user want to add or update the existing record, we will learn in a minute. Okay. Followed by what it is, my data. What are the columns I want to feed to my table? Followed by curly braces. Now device name is my column name, and for that what I need to what I'm providing is device name dot text, comma, device code txt dvc code dot text, comma, uh, device title txt dvc dot text, comma, what else we have, device price, device cost, device price, right, or device count, my bad, device count followed by txt device count dot text, comma, manufacturer's details. So the manufacturer detail I need to set that, right, drp manufacturer details dot selected, comma, I need to set it as selected. I should not set it as selected dot value because it is a lookup. So I have to provide the lookup column, lookup record. When we are setting a value to a lookup column, we have to say drop down dot selected. We should not say drop down dot selected dot value. I'll show you what I mean exactly. Device price txt dvc cost followed by closed curly braces, and that something is not happy, expected a record but a different schema, but of a different schema, most probably this is the culprit. Let me close that. No. Oh, there is one more lookup column. What is that one more lookup column? Device details columns. We created one more text, one more, we added one more lookup column, but we missed to add that as a lookup. What is the device type? No, do we have device type here? So the here the issue is device count is a whole number, but what we are doing, we are passing as a text. It is a string data type mismatch. So we have to say value of that. So that time when you say value of that, it will get convert and it will get add. So now that is okay. Again, device price. What is device price? Device price is currency. It's also a number. Now dot text. Now this is also value of that. So now if you see device price and everything is coming properly, now it is accepted as a internal value, appropriate internal value. And notice if I have a space on my column name, it is enclosed in single quotes. If it is not, it is not enclosed in single quotes. Just for timing, I am not adding that manufacturer. I'll show you how we have to add that. Okay. Now what I'm doing with this patch, I am submitting my details back to my database. But what about if I want to reset the details, whatever I submit over here? There are two ways to do that. Okay. Each and every control on the screen will have a property called reset. So this is a flag. When I say reset true, or if I tilt the if I set the reset value, what happens is it automatically resets the data on the control. This is one way. Or when I go to the cancel button, I can write reset of each and every control, device code, and again reset of txt device name. Each and every control I need to write, or else I can always say update context. I'll say l var reset to true. I can set this variable there. Now for two controls, I just use the reset. Let me use this reset flag on the other controls, and let's see like how it will behave. Now just play. See that the values got reset automatically, right? You guys see that screen clearly? Deepak, are you able to see the screen clearly? Okay. So this one, if it is false, I need to set it to true. So which means this control, I need to say it always true, but that is causing some disturbance. So rather just write each and every control here. Okay. I don't want to confuse you guys. So just write that controls each and every control as a reset, single resets. Okay. And write rather, just say this one as false. Clear? So now let me add the reset for the other controls also. Reset txt device dvc title reset txt dvc count reset drp reset txt dvc cost. Notice the way I am setting the reset, each and every control is getting highlighted. So there is no ambiguity that whether I have written reset for a particular control or not. Each and every control is getting a specific color, and I can see I can see a clear highlighted controls on my screen. Isn't it? Are you guys see that? Do you guys see that or no? Good. Now if I just come here and say reset, cancel, it's getting reset. Now comes the actual operation. Now comes to the data. When it comes to this, edit new tab, just to validate our data is getting post back to my backend table. Now say that device count in the larger to smaller count, because I'm going to give a large value on the device count. Now let's go back to the app and say device name is sample device, device code is SMP 1W da, da, da. Device title is laptop, and count is, intentionally I'm setting that, cost also, cost I'm setting it as $8,000, $800. Now I say submit. The specific column is generated by the server and cannot be specific. The reason what we got, why we got the error is device code on the backend database is, so though it is a single line of text, it is a calculated column. We cannot set the value of a calculated column. If the column data type or the behavior is a calculated column, it comes automatically. And if we see how the calculated column is defined for that for that field is, if the device type is a laptop, I want the device code as device count hyphen lp. See, I'll show you that in a minute. Let it come through. So if the device code, if the device type is a laptop, what I'm doing, device code to set the device code to contact device count hyphen lp. So similarly, in our case, Sonam, if the organ type is liver, or organ type is heart, we will set that code as heart hyphen whatever the random number we wanted to set. Okay, we can do that. So here this is the culprit, so we cannot add this. So rather we will just submit here. Once I submit the data back to database, here the laptop L should be capital, so what it did not come. Now L laptop, and see the device count is say like 15 or probably 5, and then say submit. It will just change this number if you notice. And now come back here and just refresh back on the data. I got one more record, and this time should get the laptop here properly. For some reason this column did not show up. What is the other issue I could have done? The formula what we have written here for the calculated column is as whatever the device type. If the device type is laptop, or if the device type is not blank, then only we are adding. But unfortunately by mistakenly I have not submitted the device type there. Now if you see the data, wherever I have device type, now if I come here and just say ultra notebook, also it will come as 7LP, because my formula on the calculated column says that as long as device type is there, I'm just setting that. Rather if I just say equals and say first value as laptop, how would I know it is laptop is when I just select that, it will just show you what the value is, notepad or whatever it is. Do you guys see this screen? It is too small. Is it readable? Now I'll say laptop here. Now go ahead, and if I say save and close, it automatically changes the behavior now. For for the device types where we have laptop, for those values only it will come as a laptop. If not, it will be blank. Now if I just refresh the data, automatically this got refreshed as blank, because the data device type is not laptop here. And if I come back here and see what is the device type is choice. Now if I really want a device type here, I'll have to, rather than as device code, I'll say device type, remove that, add a drop down. So device type is a choice, and the choice we know we will create as a new choice group, right? When you come here, what is the choice? It is options, and device type choices is the choice what you call choice field. Now if I come back here, device type choices dot, so this is choices of that. Now there it is. So to show the drop down control with a choice field, we'll have to say choices of that drop down, sorry, choice field, choices of the choice field. Are you able to follow me? For a lookup, we need to say that table name dot which column we want to show as part of that drop down. But whereas for choices, the- we have to say choices followed by the choices field. Now when you come here, what is the choices field name? Device type types choices. Now the same thing we are using device type choices, but inside choices, the time you say choices, it will show as a list of choices values we have on the table. Now here it is coming as that because we don't have that control here. Device code is not there, so what it is coming, no issue. Coming back to here, if we want to set the device type here, device type. Now did I say that DRP device type? Now coming here, DRP device type dot selected dot value. Okay, now if I just select that notebook, sorry, laptop, and say submit, that got submitted. And if I come back to my data, refresh the data, I could see the laptop is here. Now sample device, let me delete all these rows so that we know what is my new row coming in. I don't have any data now on the back end. Now if I go here, play the app and say submit and come back and say refresh, there it is. It is setting the laptop as my device type also. Now we are clear with the patch how we can add a new record to the backend. Now if I want to update a record on the backend, how I could do that? Okay, now I'm going to add one more button here. Why should I do that? Now let's go and say add one more icon here to go back to the home page. Say this one back. Again icon back, color is again white color, and on select navigate to SCR home screen. Now before I come onto this screen, once I click on this screen, I want to ensure that all my controls are reset to blank. How could I do that is either you write all these statements again there, or on screen visible, on visible of the screen, I can say select btn cancel. I can select a button. Notice that when I come back to the screen, I don't want any of these controls to have a previous value. How could I do that? Now if I say add new device, see that everything got reset because I am selecting my cancel button on visible of my screen. Hope you are able to follow me, right? Because on my cancel button, what do I have? I have all my reset commands to reset the controls on my screen, and on visible of the screen I'm selecting that control. Clear? Now let's go ahead and list all the devices. Now again one more screen, say screen, come back, new label, all the devices. Now in this screen, what I did is I simply added one gallery, and I have associated my device details as part of this gallery. Now my next step is when I select one record on this gallery, I want to edit that record. Okay. Repeat, when I select one record, I want to I want to update that record as part of my backend database. There are two ways to do this. One is I will create one more screen with all the controls, or I will pass my user from this screen to add new device, but I will update the screen behavior with my pass value. Now, on select of this, what I wanted to do is select parent is default, followed by navigate, scr add new device. This item, what I'm doing, I'm just passing this, right? How I need to pass? First thing is navigation behavior as none, followed by variable. We know that, right? We know how to pass the data from one screen to another screen. Do we know that or not? We know very well. Now, alware selected record colon this item. When you say this item, that particular record I wanted to carry forward to my next screen. Getting me? Now, the time I click on that, I came to here. Now my heading of my screen should change in such a way that if alware selected record is blank of alware selected record, then only I'll say it is a new record, adding a new record. If not, update record, right? Now see that, because I have my record details there. I selected one record, so this will never be a blank, isn't it? When I am coming out of this screen, I should make this local variable to blank. Now come here, update context local variable to blank. Now if I select that, see this, it automatically turned out to add new device, isn't it? Because when I come out of that screen, I should nullify my selected record from my previous selection. Now if I just come here, list all devices. Oh, I did not enable that. Navigate SCR3, which is this. Come back here, SCR all devices and LBL device details heading HDZ. Now gallery device details LBL device name gallery device name, and this one is LBL device ID, right? Now if I just come back to my home screen and just play this list all devices, I can see this all the devices. Now if I select one record, it comes here and it should have the details as that. Why the hell you are cutting it? Oh yes, the time I come to the screen, I'm selecting this button, right? Now on visible of this screen, again I need to say if is blank of my alware selected record, then only you reset the controls. If not, you don't have to do anything, right? If I'm coming from a home screen where I click on add new device, that is when I want my screen to be blank. If I'm coming from list of all devices by selecting a control, I don't want my screen to be repainted. I want my selected record to return back. So what I'll see the heading as update device details and also the record details here. Now here the default value of this control is again the same behavior on visible of the screen. What I did, if it is blank one way, if it is not blank by another way. Now the default value of this control is if my selected record is blank, then it is blank. If not, what I have to do, my selected record lvar selected record dot name. See that? Do you see? Whatever the device name, so if it is device name, device, what is the control we are setting it to text is to name, right? Then it has to be the name only. I repeat, the default value of this text box, the default value property of this text box, I'm setting it in such a way that if I am coming back to this screen from a gallery where I select one record, then is blank of the selected record. If the selected record is blank, then I'm setting the default value as blank. If not, my selected record dot name. Getting me? If it is a text box, the default value is where you need to set the default value of the control. But what if it is a drop down? I do not have a default property here, right? So how I can set the default value for a drop down is go to default selected item. Where is this value? Default value. For this also, see what is the default value? It is 1. When do we set the default value to 1 is if it is only a new record. If it is not a new record, how do we do that? We come back here, same old formula, copy here, come back to the drop down, come here, here, say 1. If not, what it is? Device type. Device type dot, sorry, device type. That's all. Whatever the device type it is. Okay. Now go back to that, go to the list of elements and let's add the device type also here just to ensure that the device type is getting associated properly. Now come here, see this. Dot device type. There it is. See that the device type is that. If I go back to this and just say if it is notebook, there is one with the notebook also, right? See this. This is ultrabook. Now if I go here, see this ultrabook is selected. Now if I come back, all the devices, notebook, notebook got selected. You guys see that, right? Last row students, last bench students, you guys see that, right? Readable, right? Good. So similarly, I can set for the remaining controls also. Let's do that quick. Now we have set all the controls with this selected record that selected record, right? Now what I need to do is I need to change my submit behavior in such a way that if it is a pre-selected record, or if it is a if it is not a new record, I need to change my patch behavior, right? Before that, let's change the submit also in such a way that if it is a new record, submit; if not, update, isn't it? If it is a new record, it has to be submit; if not, it has to be update. Avuna kada? So now it is update. Now on select of that, come on, where are you? On select, what am I doing? I'm just saying default. Remember, this is where we will have to tweak the code. If it is not a new record, I do not want to set it as default. If it is blank, then right, it is a default. If not, what we have to do is we need to provide that record. Whatever the record I wanted to update, that record has to sit here. Getting me? So what I told you already, when you are patching to a table, if it is a blank record, blank or a fresh new record, we will say patch of default, patch of the table name followed by default of the table name. If it is not a new record, if I want to if I want to update the existing record, what I need to do, I have to say what record I wanted to update. I have to pass to my patch. Here I'm passing my selected record, so that it will not add it as a new record, it will update the selected record. So when we click on the button will decide, right? Any doubts on this? Now we know how to add a new record with a patch, and also we know how to update the existing record, right? Now let's learn how to update a field which is a lookup to another column, another table. Okay. Before we learn how to set the lookup column value, let's learn lookup alone. Okay. Now we are coming from a gallery wherein I selected one record, but if I do not want from gallery and I come to the add new device, I will select one record there as part of a drop down, and that record should get updated. Let's see that how we could do. One second, icon back again. Now add new device. When I come here, I wanted to set in such a way that if in a drop down I want to list out all the entries of this table, with being the device details as my uh, device details as the core. Now if you see, device detail is a uh, grid id. It is a unique number you will get for each and every record. Okay. So now what I wanted to do is I want to add one drop down. Under that drop down, I want to say device details dot device details dot device. What is this internal name for this guy? So now what I did is I have just shown all the records here, all the IDs of each and every record. So my intention is when I select one of this entry, I want to populate that selected entry, selected record details here. Okay. And update that. Getting me? So to get that details, how could I do that is selected record. Now we know that each and every control on this record will render in two ways. If it is blank, it will show blank. If not, the selected record dot name. So if I set my selected record of this drop down to that variable, my job is done. So now for a drop down, go to on change. Here if I set the record, selected record to that variable here, I can render those details as part of my form. Now update context of selected record. Here I'll have to say lookup. Remember, filter is to filter the data table with one particular condition and get more than one record. Filter is a function to filter on the data table with a condition and return table of records, whereas lookup is a function to filter on the data table and returns only one row. Lookup returns one row, function return multiple rows. Clear? Now I need to look up against the device details table. Device details on what is my condition? Device details equal to self dot, because I am selecting on top of my drop down. Select self dot selected dot device details. This will return the selected record. Okay. Now if I just select one record, automatically you see this. Now if you notice the, try to notice the change in values. Del, you see that what it is doing? I am selecting the record and I'm associating the selected record values here. Hope you are able to follow me. Are you able to follow me or not? In your app, where do you use? When you are clicking on the submit on the login screen, what you need to do is you need to say, hey, look up the user credentials, and whereas username equal to text box username dot text and user password equal to text box password dot text. If that is returning value, then it is true. If it is not, we will have to say invalid credentials. Okay, let's do that quickly. What if I have a column as auto number? Can I use the auto number in patch? Remember, auto numbers, calculated columns, they get populate automatically. Both these column types, auto numbers and calculated columns, though these two are the columns, will populate the data automatically, because auto number we are specifying one particular format. So that particular, with that particular format, the value will get generated to that field. On the other hand, calculated column, we are specifying a formula to populate the data to that field. So those two columns you cannot use in patch, because those two will generate automatically, which is what the issue we have experienced, right? We experienced the same issue, isn't it? When we tried to set the device code, it was throwing an error, right? So those two fields you cannot set the value with patch. Was that clear, Vinita? Sorry, Vinita, was that clear? Is that
Yes.
clear? If it is clear, raise your hand, ma. Good. So in your screen, in your app,
Yes.
you are always you all of you are creating the username and password as the login screen. Look at the look at the font and look at the size of the controls I have placed here. This is how a username and password control size and the dimension should be. It should not be like, I wanted to create a login screen, so I will create like half of the screen with the controls. It should not be like that. Okay. If you though you want to add only those four controls, say like username, password, text boxes followed by the two buttons, it should be in a decent size. You're getting me? So since I have only these four controls, I want to leverage the entire screen size. Doesn't make any sense. Getting me? So now what I need to do, when user enter username and password, I wanted to validate against my user details table. Now let's first go back to the database, and under the database, go into new tab. So these are the two users and the passwords I want to validate when user want to enter into the application. Now here, first what I need to do, I need to add user credentials table. User credentials. What is the table name? User credentials. Remember, when your table is not showing up while you want to add the table, no rush. The table is newly created, but the Maker portal is already loaded. If it is not showing up, just reload the app, which is what exactly happened to us, right? So the app is loaded here, but the table I created on fly, so it was not able to pick the table. It at times it get refresh for about 5 minutes. After 5 minutes it get refresh, but most of the times when you reload the app, you will be able to see that user credentials. Right now, at the time of submit, what I wanted to do is look up user credentials where user name equal to txt user name dot text, and because I want to validate against username and password also, right? So remember that when we are doing lookup, the condition is a composite condition. You can add as much as you want, like as filter also we can write any number of conditional clauses. So here I am adding the clause as and clause. I'm using user password equal to txt user password dot text, right? What it does, it validate against my database, right? If it is there, so lookup always returns what? It returns one record, correct? Now if is blank, if it is not returning any data, which means the credentials are incorrect. If not, my credentials are validated, I can go forward. So now update context where user usr login error. Please validate the details. If not, if it is not the case, what I have to do? I have to take the user to the next screen, navigate to probably add new device is where I want to take the user. Again, why to update context? Let's notify the user. Notify as please validate the details, followed by notification type as error, and 1000 means 1 millisecond. Sorry, 1000 milliseconds means 1 second. So now I'll say 2500. So 2.5 seconds it will wait the message for user to read through. Okay, now I'm just clicking on format, so it will get format. Now if I play the app, say right, you can tweak the details like the way you want. Now it is password, so now go back to here, say Krishna. What is the password I have given? Small case. Okay, Krishna at 123. Now if I submit, there it is. Clear? And when I click on cancel, it is getting reset again. Here also, when come to on onto this screen, on visible of this screen, we will again set the same thing as select btn cancel. What is this control then? Oh, user cancel. Clear? Now if I play the app one more time, Sai as capital this time, 2010, submit. Okay, clear? Now if I come back, the controls are getting reset. This is how you need to do the validation for your login credentials. Now it is clear. Now today's class, what all we learned? We learned lookup, we learned patch, we learned patch to add a new record and update a record also. Right? So this is what I said. If time permits, we can cover the components, but we did not. That's fine. No rush. Components will cover in sometime in the next week. So any questions in today's class?